Oh, wow. Testimonial of consistency and commitment. Some years back, I made up my mind that I was not going to sit on the fence. There are many professional critics who knows what needs to be done, but all that they do is just whine and complain about what ought to be done. Nations are not built by critics, but by individuals that are passionate about curating conversation that can bet a new narrative. Most Nigerians are tired. We've had it to our neck. We can see the glaring effects of lack of leadership. You know, Max Monroe will have this to say that everything rises and falls on leadership. Nigeria is endowed with natural resources. Currently, we are experiencing what is known as brain drain. Most of our daughters, professionals, have had to travel, leave the shore of this country to seek for greener pasture because the enabling environment had not been created. But you see, 6 years ago, today exactly made it 7 years, we made that decision that somehow we were going to be a part of that ecosystem committed to societal transformation. The change that we seek in the society has to begin with us. Everybody can point finger to the president, the governor, and every other person in political positions. But have we taken stock? Have we asked ourselves, should we find ourselves in leadership position, what would we do differently? And interestingly, every single one of us actually have opportunity to make an impact. Every single one of us, every day, we are presented with that awesome opportunity to decide which side of the divide we'll be on. Just like the MC said, it's been 6 years. Some of my friends have given up. They've jumped out of this country. Is there anything wrong with leaving? No. But we all can leave. For goodness sake, you have your auntie here. You have your cousin here. You have your sibling here. Somehow there has to be some collective, some individuals who still believe that somehow we can still make it work. Do I have some optimists in the house? Are there some people that still believe that irrespective of the situation we found ourselves, that somehow this is not how our story will end up? You know, someone called me a chronic optimist, and I think I like that. Chronic optimist. And he said I was being chronically optimist. And why can't you give up? Let me confess, true confession. You know, sometimes if we are not careful, we forget. About 2 years ago, I have found myself so bitter, really bitter that, you see, I actually have something I was supposed to read, but I just want to speak to you from my heart. I go to social media and basically rant because I see my friends rant. Because if you look around you, there's so much that is not working. Bad road, banditry, the insecurity, so much. The light that is so erratic, so much to complain about. But listen, when I found myself in that place, I couldn't think of solution because all I could see was the things that were not working. The educational system, the bad road, and all the many things. And there are a lot of people that are still there. But it's a terrible conundrum because when you're there, you will not have the inspiration to bet solutions because you become very bitter. You were not called to be a bitter citizen. No. The fact that there are problems in the land, enormous challenges, complex situation in the land, proves that you can't be a solution. Say to someone close to you, I'm a solution. I'm a problem solver. You see that? So you have to decide which side, how you want to be known, how you want to be described. So I made a decision with my team that Irrespective. I told you, I said I was confessing. Yeah, it was a true confession because somewhere along the line, I caught myself. Said to somebody, I caught myself. Yeah. I pinched myself. I said, no, I can't be going on like this. For goodness sake, I can't be among the wailers, who sits on the fence and just complain, and do all the cussing. No. That is not a dignified way to live. So I made up my mind that somehow, with the help of God, I was going to be among those that are fostering conversation that can bet a new narrative. All right? So if it is going to take whatever, we are committed to this. We've had it for 6 years. Someone called me, a friend of mine called me yesterday and said, if we have done this for 6 years, it means that this will never stop. I said, what do you mean? And he said, he himself started a program or conference, and he only had it for 2 years, and he lost the motivation to continue on that. But somehow we have had the motivation. Do you know why? Because when I see Kule, who is a teenager in school, when I see my son who is just 13 years old, and I see the other people who are visionless and they have given up, I mean, they can't tell. Have you had a conversation with young Nigerian lately? The gloom, the doom, the picture of gloom and doom that they see. Our goal ultimately is to help you paint a picture that irrespective of what we're going on today, what is going on and what we are going through today, somehow Nigeria will be great again. Somehow we are going to get it right. Somehow, just somehow. It begins by you making up your mind to do something. I'm not asking you to do everything, just something, just like we are doing, just like we had this today. Make up your mind that you will do something about it. The best or the worst leaders come from among us. I'll say that again. The best or the worst leaders will come from among us. I listened to a conversation recently, and someone said, if you have affiliation with a politician who is corrupt, that is called connection. All right? But if it is not your uncle, your auntie, your sibling, and you don't have no tie with the person, it is called what? Corruption. Can you imagine that? A very terrible conundrum. In other words, the people that are perpetuating the corruption or the malfunctioning of systems belong to some family unit. They are related to an uncle, to a sibling. They didn't jump from the skies or from the moon. They are from among us. So the next time you curse or you're tempted to vilify the president or someone in a political position, just remember that somebody gave birth to that person. He was trained. He was raised. He was mentored. Who is his mentor? What are his associations? Where did he come from? Where was he raised? Who are the people that he fraternized with? Then you truly understand that they are from among us. I have no doubts deep down in my heart that from among us we arise great inspirational leaders that will govern the affair of this nation, so that Nigeria and ultimately Africa will become the pride of nation. Do you believe that with me? Come on, talk to me. Are you leaving me out? Are you leaving me out here by myself? Do I have an agreement in the house? Oh, yes. And by the way, this is the 7th edition. It's not just a Nigerian edition. So most of what we'll be doing here, you're going to be seeing the interface and the conversation revolving around Africa, as it were. It will always be difficult to mislead informed citizens that know their right from wrong. There is an unfortunate conundrum in Africa where the worst of us in character and in deeds lead the very best of us. This is painful, isn't it? You can tell, man, if I had this opportunity, if I was the local government chairman, if I was the governor, you can almost, now this is where a lot of people get really angry. Like, how in the world can these people sit in a room and come up with this decision? I mean, how did they reach this decision? Very terrible travesty, like when you hear rats swallow money and all kind of things that we hear. Adults, fully grown men, taxable adults come up straight on the TV and tells you stuff that you will be aching just hearing these conversations. Why? Because the worst are leading the very best. Well, we've been told that politics is dirty. And I've objected, I've debunked that over time. Politics is not dirty. It is people that bring their dirtiness to politics. Politics is not dirty. If you are dirty and you find yourself in leadership position, you bring all your baggages, all the dirtiness to politics. If you have more money, you see, you don't know if a man is humble, if he has character, if the man is broke. Poverty disguises a lot of things. Poverty disguises a lot of things. If a man have more money, you get to see that that man is an adulterous man. He can have more money now to carry out his ambitions and his lustful desires because he have more money. Because he doesn't have money, he cannot afford a hotel room. So there's no need trying. Do you remember Adolf Hitler? One man ensured that 6 million Jews were annihilated. Power, absolute power. They say what? Corrupt what? So before you criticize, you need to be tested with power and money. How will you act differently if you have the resources? We used to be these sanctimonious, gentle, cute. How do you treat your driver? I mean, those that walk around you. All of that can show what you will do eventually when you ascend position of leadership. So I said politics is not dirty. It's people that bring their dirtiness to politics. This 7th edition is an African edition and is dedicated towards the success of Nigerian 2023 election with the theme, Redefining Leadership and Economy, Strategy for a New Dispensation. Leadership in its simplest form is the art of leading people from a certain point to another. It is a process of influencing change, driving a narrative. It also entails helping them to possess a better perspective they have of themselves. People will be inspired, motivated, and challenged in the face of great leadership. Africa oftentimes has been regarded as the dark continent, the continent that swallows its own. Most especially Nigeria, that has become a land that exports goods rather than exports. A land that exports brains rather than export goods. To put things in perspective, over 33,000 doctors and medical consultants left the shores of Nigeria for greener pasture in 2021. The time for real, true, and genuine change has come. The spirit of patriotism is awakened among us today. Right now, we are ready to harness and channel it appropriately. We are ready to take our hands together, walk the path of victory, and rewrite what needs to be rewritten. I hope you have a tremendous time today. I hope truly that today will bet a new narrative, that you can look back 5 years from now and be glad today that you were here. God bless you.